the receivers, like breath of fresh air. I know that's going to be flooding all of Penn State.
Woo, breath of fresh air. Damn, them receivers look good, man. Your players are coming across as soft. I've never seen a team go into. I'm just being real. I've never seen a team go play against Bama, and I saw zero fear factor.
You're on the side of Kalen DeBoer's seats getting really hot.
I mean, I don't know if I can say hot, but it is Alabama.
I think that's a fair cop-out of that setup question I just dropped on you. There's still an element of like growing men in this sport and learning from the good and the bad. And Arch everyone's on a torch Arch streak now, and giving all. He didn't fucking ask for that shit. The people that are torching him are the ones that gave him all that shit. So check yourself. Let's see how the kid plays the rest of the year and see what happens.
Quarterback sneak right side, touchdown, Penn State! Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far?
All right, Jay, back after week 1. Just want to throw a reminder out, everyone, that this whole network is brought to you by Family Clothesline, and specifically The Pocket. The good folks down at Family Clothesline, Caroline and crew, make this all possible, so we can't thank them enough. Make sure you guys are checking them out whenever you're in town for any of your merch needs. They got the freshest stuff. But, Jason, what do you got to say about that?
Did what we were supposed to do, Thought we came out with the right attitude. I thought we were crisp. I thought we were clean. I thought that we got rid of the jitters early, those first game jitters, first drive jitters. They came out pretty early. So I thought, just really positive signs of a mature team. I think that's the biggest word I can use, just a mature team.
Yeah, I'll say this. I was a little afraid of a Bowling Green flashback there after that first drive Nevada had, but ending that with a turnover and then subsequently what happened thereafter. The biggest words that you said were clean, crisp. I think I'll even throw efficient. But I've said this to everybody that's asked me since I got home from that game. I was like, dude, they're fucking good. They are as advertised, and they're good. And I think the maturity side that you brought up is the biggest thing. You talk about teams that come out here, and we saw it all over college football this week, even the marquee matchups, the penalties, the turnovers, the 3-and-outs, the self-inflicted wounds. Like, this team came out and played a lesser opponent and played exactly how they should against a much lesser opponent. And I think that's a testament, right? That's something that I think oftentimes gets overlooked, especially early in the season. But testament to the program and preparation in training camp. Testament to being able to go out and execute the game plan to an extremely high and acceptable level. But I was just thoroughly impressed with the amount of athletes that we had on the field, how well they did their job so early in the season. Maybe we're jinxing them here, but for me, dude, just as impressive as a win against a big-time marquee matchup to me, and that might sound crazy to most, but some of those games are harder to get up for, dude. Just speaking from experience, you go out there and you kind of slog through the motions and you out-athlete people and you end up pulling away in the second half. That really wasn't the case on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. You can give in the excuses of, they're playing the 117th ranked team from the FBS from last year, and, they were 0-9 in their Mountain West Conference, this, that, and a third. But, to go out there and just go and play a nameless jersey and just go out there, win your one-on-ones, do what you're supposed to do, and do it on a consistent basis. That team went out there and they did that. And I think for me, how about the new names? I look at, guys who haven't been in the blue and white uniform, haven't played, their first game at Penn State in Beaver Stadium. And how about those new guys coming out there and just rolling it out like they've been there and done that? I thought that was the most impressive thing, man. Pena, Hudson, Amari Campbell, who was the leading tackler with 6 on the day, on a short day. I thought that was the most pleasant surprise of it all. And maybe not surprise. They brought them in for a reason. They're supposed to come in and do that, but it's not easy to do. I know we talk about these things as media guys, but at least being in their shoes, we know how hard it is to go in there and perform. So, give the credit where it's due that these guys went out there and they didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, when you talk about it, I mean, look at us in the past. I mean, even like a guy like Julian Fleming, right? Had some pretty decent success at Ohio State, and it really didn't translate when he came over here. So a lot of testament probably, or a lot of the credit goes to the guys in the locker room for taking the time to build the back end reps to make it look like as seamless of a transition as humanly possible. And those receiver group really, I think there was an emphasis, like just watching the game, there was definitely an emphasis from the coaching staff that that's where they wanted the football to go as much as humanly possible offensively. And to be frank, a couple of short fields in those possessions, especially early. So not really much to do in terms of opening it up and really giving guys chances down the field. But when you look at the execution and timing and some of those out routes that drew through to Kyron Hudson, they look like they've been playing together for a long time. And that's obviously a sign trending in the right direction for Penn State fans. And then, like you mentioned, defensively, we talked about it. The linebacker position to me still has question marks, but and maybe this is kind of contradicting myself, but when you do play someone like that, it's hard to see, specifically, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the ball, your question marks really get tested. And I thought they looked good enough. I think Amari is a good positive thing in that direction, but I just don't know how, when you have like talent everywhere else, when the game plan now is how do we kind of shave this whole thing down to a microcosm of who exactly we're trying to attack. We didn't see that with Nevada because Nevada was worried about everything. So they were just out there worried about everything. So I'm curious to see how that translates. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a chance to see that until the end of the month. But I think that was a very solid performance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Oregon's going to be the first real test. Sometimes I think about whether our schedule starting like this helps us or hurts us. Obviously, only time will tell and be able to give us that answer. But, in a game like that, there are at least a couple of plays that, where I saw Amari, I got to see his athletic ability, the way he closes to the ball and things of that nature that I thought were really positive. Tony Rojas, too, pitter pattern of the feet, just instinctive, boom, go. I mean, there was one screenplay that he was just all over in the backfield and dropped it for a loss. And that was just one of those plays that, made me reaffirm, like, okay, Tony, let's go, So I'm hoping that those light bulbs continue to kind of go off on those guys, especially among the depth, as we know, like you said, it's a bit of a question mark this year.
You think this is going to hurt us or help us?
I don't see how it can't hurt us.
Ooh.
Even if we had even just a Rutgers or a Maryland, as game 2 or game 3, I think it would just serve us better because I just do believe that it is quite a drop off in talent between, playing in Oregon and playing in Nevada or an FIU or a Nova. It's just a reality. So it's hard for me to say that it's going to help us. It's going to help us in some ways from a standpoint of wear and tear on the tires. Guys are going to be able to come out of the game, third quarter, this, that, and third. But, man, does that really help us? Are we tested for 4 quarters straight? Do we know what game shape at 4 quarters looks like and having to dig for an overtime and having that in the engine left over? Is that tested? That's kind of the types of things that I worry about and being like, okay, now the talent level is the same. So now this false step that maybe I was taking or this, little thing I was hesitating on now might cost you against an Oregon level of opponent where you can get away with it against a Nevada or FIU. So those are the kinds of ways I think it can hurt us. But that at the end of the day is solved by maturity. And, taking every single opponent, taking every step, like it's your last or like you're still in learning mode. You don't take it for granted. You don't take the little things or the fundamentals, for granted and you do it the same way every single time. That's the only way you can save that. So,
Yeah, I think that maturity word, and I'm into playing this game now. We went into it, so I'll play the devil's advocate of reasons I think it's for, and then now let's keep going back and forth after this. But I will preface it with what you said. Maturity is the biggest factor here in how, which I think that's going to tip the scale, right? And to me, the way that they played this week showed a lot of maturity.
I would agree.
And the thing that you're dealing with is a veteran team for the most part, and a lot of the key positions, or at least the positions that, in my opinion, are going to dictate and swing a game like an Oregon matchup or an Ohio State matchup, right? It's your playmakers and it's your guys in the trenches, and we're pretty deep. We're pretty deep at both of those positions, at least for what we've seen so far. So for me, I think the tread on the tires thing's big, right? Like, you guys are going to be fresher. There's an element to that. You know what I mean? You're in a grind and you're bashing heads for 2 or 3 straight weeks. And I'm not saying Oregon's going to be in that. I don't know if they are or not, but I got to look at their schedule. But there's an element to that. I think the ability to start building on the finer things, right? Like, I think the run game, everyone talked about the run game being a big issue, that we couldn't run the ball against Nevada. I think it wasn't that we couldn't run the game. I think we had an idea that we wanted to throw the football more and kind of show off the new toys we got. And then on the other side of the coin, it looked like just more gel with the offensive line. And one of the things we talked about last week was how deep we were at that position group. And when you have seven guys really like rotating in there, and you're getting a different feel for different things, and like, how am I coming off this combo block with Nolan Rucci as opposed to somebody else? Like, there's that position. That position is so much like that. Everyone talks about that group being so tight. Like, that group literally like shits together. Like, they're just the tightest group known to mankind. But there's a reason for that. It's because their job description really needs that cohesiveness, that communication, reading body language, different pressure points even, right? Like, when you're on combo blocks, like when this guy kind of gives me a chicken wing, that I know he's got this one and I can climb to the
And those are the tiny little nuances that, so many people don't know. Like, you go and watch like offensive line indie drill, and like, you'll see them do the same combo blocks on the same one pad and combo up to the backer 10, 20, 30 times in a row. They'll rotate guys. Okay, now you do it next to this guy. Now you do it next to this guy. But it's like, you got to get a feel for the guy next to you, like his steps, how he steps. Is it a big step? Is it a small step? Is he a choppy guy? Is he more an explosive and just fire off the ball guy? Like, there are different styles and different ways, and learning that. And that's that gaining, trusting for that offensive line position specifically. That's that thing that can take time. And like you said, when they're rotating and you're not getting the same 20 reps in a row with one guy, you're getting 10 and 10. Like, those are the things that, are going to continue to build over time. And that's also the communication thing. All coaches preach to over communicate, but some guys aren't very communicative. Some guys just give you a hip tap and it means something for them. Like figuring all those little things out, with each other.
And I think, to put a knot on it, like, I think the time and opportunity that you have to do all of those things, I think it's going to change, right? Like, I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw against FIU this week of what we saw last week against Nevada in terms of rotation and who's going. I really think you're going to see a stark difference in the Villanova game, and potentially treating that like the last preseason game back in the day when the starters played three quarters, right? I think you're going to see our starters get stretched out because we do have that bye before the Oregon game, right?
Yeah, that's
I think what you're going to start seeing is kind of this like manipulation of the depth chart, manipulation of the different groups to finding out which one works the best, which combination works the best. And to me, that's a benefit of the schedule, is you get to do that not at practice, because no matter how much you say it, there's a different vibe, there's a different feel, there's a different flutter in your stomach when the lights come on and you run out that tunnel and you're playing against somebody else. So I think being able to get those reps in that type of setting ends up being a positive for us heading into it. And then the confidence, right? You go out there and you start beating the shit out of people, and now you're going back in the tape room, and the coaching staff has to reaffirm a lot of that confidence in you. But when you do something right, it doesn't matter who lines up, right? You have that blind, kind of just like blind belief, you know what I mean? Just like that this is what we do. So I'm leaning more. I'm a hard leaner more towards the fact that this is going to play out for us if, from a program standpoint and a systematic standpoint and approach standpoint, we do it the right way. And I think that starts with everything that I just said.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah, 1,000%. But what'd you think of Knowles? Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. What'd you think of Knowles? Because I thought we played really well in all three phases. But Jim Knowles' first showing.
I mean, I thought we were opportunistic as a defense. I thought tackling wasn't a big issue once we really got our feet under us. Obviously, you talked about the first drive, and that's the jitters thing. I think that, me and you talk about in the beginning. There's that game one jitters, that first game in Beaver. There's just something about it. You get the butterflies out, you hunker down, and then, you're ready to play. And I think that's all that was. And really from then on, the first thing is the defensive line is they were just disruptive. I mean, they were just disruptive all day long. And I think that just makes life easier on everybody, just the same way it makes life easier on everybody, on the offensive side of the balls. It starts with them. And I thought Zane had a great game. He made a couple of great plays that were just vet plays. We just finished, talking about his pick and being able to recognize screen. And it's not just being able to recognize screen, but it's firing off hard as shit the way that he did. And really dropping the hell out of his weight at 300, whatever pounds he is, 295, whatever he is, and play recognition. Okay, he's clearly going to the screen on the left. I'm going to break left, and that's the ball sometimes just finds you. And it did. He made a nice catch. That ball was low, not an easy one for a big fella like him. And we heard him talk at the press conference that he's going to work on the return game a little bit.
I wanted him to finish that so bad. I wanted him to finish that.
That'd have been a great big man touchdown that he had the opportunity. Those don't come often to those guys, but overall he was great. I thought Nittany was outstanding. He had a couple of plays where even he dropped into coverage and, he was recognizing things. And that was something that I talked about in a couple of our preseason podcasts is, how well he can do that, is going to unlock some stuff for Jim Knowles. And I was actually a bit unsure. Obviously, he's always been more of an all-around DN. He's a heavy guy. He's like 275, 280. That's whatever he is. He's a big dude. He's not one of these hybrid type of DNs that truly can do both or whatever. But he's just an all-around really good player. He's really good in the run. He's, I think, developing even more in the pass game, in the pass rush game. He's developing in what a defensive coordinator can do with him in terms of looking up routes when it is his time to simulate a rush and then back off into the pocket. Little things like that. I'm seeing a lot of growth there. Tony showed up. Amari Campbell showed up. So DBs, were opportunistic, 3 turnovers on the day. That's normally a defensive coordinator's goal each game is to get 3+ turnovers. You win the turnover ratio, most likely 76% of the time you win the game. So it was good stuff out of them. It really was.
Yeah. I think the D-line gets a ton of credit for this from a disruption standpoint, making kind of everybody else's job easier. But I just thought we really got to see the depth on that side of the ball, and even some of the stuff. He didn't get super crazy. And again, I don't have the all 22, so it's unfortunate that I can't nerd out on this. But you kind of saw Jim do some things. I've always, and I could be wrong. Open for feedback here from anyone who wants to come at my neck or hit me in the comments. But I've always kind of viewed Jim Knowles as a guy who was a high risk taker, specifically in those gotta have it situations where he's really going to get after your ass and it's going to be an exotic blitz or zero or some form of pressure in that sense. But you saw in some of those 3rd and 8s where he actually, kind of disguised and then dropped into a 2 shell. And then so it was really cool kind of seeing some of that stuff and what his approach is going to be and how it's going to differ leading into kind of the meat of our schedule. Is this kind of that game of cat and mouse from a coaching perspective where I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on tape, have guys game planning for stuff that I'm really only going to do maybe 2 to 5% of the time, but I'm going to put a lot of it on tape now and see how much I can get into the opposing coaches' heads as they're preparing for us for some of these games that frankly are going to be much more marquee matchup and kind of season dictating. I mean, these ones would be season dictating if we lost, but I thought that looked really good. And I just think it's going to be so dang hard to really, kind of like what I was saying about the linebackers, like really kind of get minutia. I think it's going to be so dang hard for any team to come in here and say, like, we can match up one-on-one across the board with Penn State's defense to the point where we can really start taking advantage of weaknesses. I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with Zane. A lot of it has to do with Denai and kind of just the depth up there. But the DBs look really good. Like, I just think it's going to be really, really hard for somebody to do that.
No, I absolutely agree. I think to Jim's advantage, and maybe more so than like the breathing room our other coordinators have, is like he can really, really afford to be vanilla these 3 games. Like, everybody knows Coach K's offense, the craziness, the formations, the constant motions and shifts and stuff. Like, you can incorporate that stuff and still be vanilla because you're just practicing your operation of how you do things, because that's how you're going to operate throughout the year. But in Jim's case, the athleticism that's on the outside and on the perimeter that we have with these DBs, it just allows us to be soft but also be tight. Be soft in coverage, play softer coverages, play cover 2, play cover 3 that's not matched. That's more a high school type of cover 3, but be good enough to really recognize things, be athletic enough to challenge on the outside the way that we can. It just gives him breathing room that I think is going to pay off a lot of dividends on later opponents.
Yeah, and the nice thing is he's probably got his best shit from a pressure standpoint matched up and married to those looks.
Exactly.
Right? So you're sitting there, you're putting the vanilla on tape, but I guarantee you at practice today and tomorrow, he's throwing 3 or 4 of those to just see and make sure that we're getting the right fits, make sure these guys are doing what they're doing, so that when they do call that on 3rd and 3 against Oregon in the third quarter, up by 3, and they're in plus territory, fringe field goal range, that he can get it done and force a change of possession. So,
absolutely,
it was like I said, very, very impressive in a lot of the ways that I don't think a lot of people appreciate. Right, like we kicked their ass, what we were supposed to do, but it's been tough for me to hold in my excitement for what this team I think has the capability to be. The ceiling rose, right? We talked about raising the floor previously. The ceiling got exponentially higher after I saw that ball get kicked off and what type of product they put on the field.
No doubt. And there's some teams that lost to some teams they weren't supposed to lose to at the end of the day. Bama, Florida State,
Yeah.
Even UTSA was hanging in there with A&M for a minute before they pulled away, Like, it didn't look like that for us. That matters. That's important.
Yeah, it does matter because it's very easy. And then, like we touched on, let's dive into the offensive side of the ball here. Man, the receivers, like breath of fresh air. I know that's going to be flooding all of Penn State.
Breath of fresh air. Damn, them receivers look good, man.
It already has, bro. It's so cool too, because you and I got to see some of Coach K talking about how he's going to feed these guys and the differentiation and like when you have such a full war chest to go to battle with, like you can almost get in a mental warfare with yourself of like, okay, like who is getting touches? You know what I mean? I just think these guys really complement each other well. And you mentioned this about Kyron Hudson, like being just steady Eddie. Like he reminds me of like Deshaun and like a combination of like Deshaun and like Allen, right? Like he's just like, he's going to be where he needs to be. He's going to catch the football. He's got really good body control. That's like the best thing ever. Like I remember vividly asking this to Marcus Higgins a few years ago at spring practice. I was like, who's your guy who like on 3rd and 6 lines up and is like, I'll be open, give me the rock. And like, he had a hard time answering the question. Like, I don't think there's any doubt that it's number one. And flipping it back to the quarterback side, like that's the best thing ever. If I look over there and I know he's got one-on-one matchup, one-on-one coverage, they're not clouding him, he's getting the football, right? I'm going to give him a chance. And then I think the nice thing about it is you have a Pena who guys talk about. I think he is a really dynamic advancer of the football once it's in his hands. Yes. So that opens up a completely different part of your part of your a part of your offense. Your screen game becomes big, and then you have him also in the possession game. You get him on those catch and run opportunities. He's running the shallow crosses, and you're kind of scheming him up to catch those in space.
And that's the type of stuff that puts a defense on their heels.
Yeah,
it's one thing, man. A guy catches it in route 5 yards, you come down, you make the tackle, boom, 2nd and 5. But like, man, that 5 yards that turns to 11, 12, 13. It's just hard, especially against a team with the O-line that we have, where it's like, okay, we can do that, and then we're gonna freaking run the ball downhill right on your ass. Like, man, it's hard to breathe, and that's the type of offense we can have. That's what excites me so much about a player like Pena. And we talked about his rack skills right before the game, and he went in there and he showed it.
He showed it, and it's cool. And then the guy we didn't get to see a ton of, and I think I kind of credit this to the fact that we didn't have a lot of opportunities in outside of the shorter fields there due to our turnover game was Ross being able to take the top off, because apparently so I think we're going to get to see a little bit more of that, especially as this run game develops. You're going to start seeing a lot more of that bigger play action game off of those looks, different unique protections, stuff like that. But that was awesome. And then, as much as you want to talk about it, like, oh, we weren't able to run the ball, blah, blah, blah. Like, Nick and Katron both still ate. They both touched the end zone. I think Nick twice, so I think the simple fact of the matter is with that is, again, that's going to go back to that live fire, those fits, getting that O-line really settled in. And from the small amount of clips that I did see on social media showing me the back and like the fits and how these guys were doing things, and then the associated cuts and stuff like that thereafter, it ain't far off. They're not far off from home runs. Like, it's not like it's like you're getting double teams blown up by
one guy away.
They're still getting enough movement to move the football. Yep. It's like, okay, can you just hang on to this for a half a second, and can you really get a good piece of this guy on the second level? And now you're talking, this is off to the races. Your safety's got to catch him. So the nice thing is
runs like that in that game.
It's close, right? And those types of things, because of all the intricacies that go into them, take a little bit more time to develop than your get open, catch the football. There's less factors that can affect that, right? That side of the ball felt good about, just as good about the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, agreed. We saw some tight ends show up too. That was nice. Rapplier had one quick little check down that we saw a little bit of the athleticism and him in space. And there's just some exciting things that I see that we haven't seen the full scope of, that we don't really know yet, but are just like trending in positive directions that I just know they're going to pay dividends for us. And when the big time moments come, when those moments of like, okay, who's going to take this game instead of who's going to wait for it to fall in their lap. And it's like, man, we're going to take it this year. I could just see it.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, like with Rap getting some reps, like we talked about it, like we're going to want to see some of these guys from a depth perspective get some live fire, and we did see that. And like I said, I think we're going to see a lot of that again this week. I think it's going to get narrower and narrower throughout the Villanova game, but Gruck, I think that answered a big question mark. Our boy, a guy who I got a ton of respect for being put in an impossible situation and handling it with grace, is Bo Prabula. He went over to Missouri and hooped. Give him a little credit, a little tip of the cap.
Bo, man. Let's go, Bo.
Go ahead, young fella. Go ahead, young fella. But that left a question mark for us, right? And some guys who were obviously highly, highly recruited coming in. But as you and I both know, you could take those stars and flush them down the toilet once you get on campus, because none of that matters. You're starting with a clean slate. Everyone does, for the most part. So happy to see Gruck take advantage of the opportunity and play pretty well, man. He played good ball. He moved the football. I thought he did some really good things in the passing game, not being too greedy, being able to take some things down low, check downs and stuff like that. That's something I talked about at depth with Drew that I really liked, was just his ability to do that. So tip of the cap to them. You got anything on the depth? And then I can't believe that I forgot this, but I mean, Drew's performance was top notch.
Mm-hmm. Surgical. Threw a lot of balls that were just on ropes. He's got really good arm strength. His mechanics look good. His hips and everything is facing towards where he needs to be, facing towards. He's just looking polished.
Yeah.
He's just looking polished.
It's like that grow up time, right? Like he was like, I think he finished like 22 for 26 with like 220 and a touchdown or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's not like, eye popping. But when you watch the throws that he did make, I mean, like I can count like maybe 2 misses on there, and then everything, the other incompletions were throwaways. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like he facilitated the football at a very, very high level. I thought he threw the ball with fairly decent timing and anticipation as well. It helps when you get some guys that are separating decently enough, which is good. But even the miss that he did have, that curl route that everyone's been talking about to Pena, take away all the flash and flare of that and look at what he did. I mean, he threw that ball before. It was a very, very tight window, and I did get to see a back angle of this and like flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like when you see the way, like that linebacker was kind of getting to that hook curl area, and he beat him with the throw. And it's just one of those things. Like when you look at it, you're like, man, that's a ball that you're going to see guys throwing on Sundays, and you're going to take for granted. Yeah. But I think he just handled it. I think he handled the whole situation really, really well, and I think he did what he needed to do, which was show that he has complete command of at least your normal passing game, right? Because he's gonna have to start making some more of those throws into tighter windows in these bigger games more consistently. I think to ultimately turn the page with that narrative. Yeah. But great start for him, and I think he's going to be playing. He has to be playing with elite confidence, heading into that matchup at the end of September, as long as he strings together a couple more performances like that, which everything's trending in that direction.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
With that, bro, let's talk a little bit big picture, right? I think the AP is going to come out here shortly. I think it might have just came out.
We moved the one.
I know it's
Ohio State
was supposed to come out here. But what'd you say? Ohio State number 1, no problem?
I'm asking. Ohio State or us?
I don't know.
It's got to be one of the two of us.
Let's look. Yeah, Ohio State jumped up, which, I mean, you got to give that to them. We didn't move. LSU moves up to 6 spots. Georgia's at 4. Florida's at 5. Oregon is at 6.
Miami took a nice little jump there.
Yep. Texas drops to 7. Notre Dame drops to 9. South Carolina bumped up. But with that being said, what was your even that Alabama game, again, why give us so much credit? Like,
goodness,
the crispness, right? Like you have a guy like Ryan Williams who, I know he got banged up there towards the end of that game, but hope he's okay. But even before that, just catching the football, right? Like basic tackle, like basic fundamentals. In the Texas Oregon game, you and I were on set. We didn't have a chance to watch it, but everybody I talked to was just like, man, it just looked like a slop fest.
Yeah, I think the worst thing about the fact that it looked like a slop fest, and it was less of a slop fest and more of a lack of effort fest, which is, something you never, ever see out of an Alabama team. Yeah. Especially not a Nick Saban-led Alabama team. I saw a bunch of dudes who were 5 stars and 4 stars and thought they were out there because they were 5 stars and 4 stars. And when they got punched in the mouth, didn't know what the hell to do. I mean, I was watching that game, and I probably got 3 quarters into the game. I easily saw through those 3 quarters at least 12 or 13 loafs on defense alone. The loafs. I mean, you're talking about not great tackling. I'm talking guys not even getting to the ball who are safeties who clearly have the speed that if they were really engaged in the game and were freaking fire on their ass to get to the ball each and every snap until they heard the freaking whistle, would have got there and made plays, and literally did it just because the effort wasn't there. Super surprised. I mean, I see Kalen DeBoer in his, press conferences and interviews. He's very soft-spoken and, this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, your players are coming across as soft. I've never seen a team go into – I'm just being real. I've never seen a team go play against Bama, and I saw zero fear factor. I saw zero hesitancy, zero – like Alabama had an aura about them. Like our junior year, we were supposed to play Alabama in that college football playoffs. They were number 1. We ended up being number 5. I think O State is the one who played them. I mean, that team, that is like the root of who Alabama is, and the root feels gone when I watch it.
Yeah, I mean, they did get their ass kicked up front on both sides of the ball, which that's not
doesn't happen.
We're used to. So you're on the side of Kalen DeBoer's seats getting really hot?
I mean, I don't know if I can say hot, but it is Alabama. And I don't want.
I think that's a fair cop out of that setup question I just dropped on you.
I mean, maybe we didn't put enough respect on Nick Saban's name. I feel like I always have, but to feel like you would think like Joe Paul left Penn State. Like all of the core roots of what Penn State is through now 2 more head coaches since Joe Pa is still there. It's like imprinted on the university. You would think Nick Saban's energy, culture, what he imprinted on Alabama football would be such a level of imprint that I could just never leave. It would just be a forever stain, and it feels gone. It feels like it's not there. And maybe there's more to say about a guy like Nick Saban, who's a diehard college football coach, calling it quits and being like, this is just not the type of kid I signed up to play for. Maybe that plays even more of a factor as to why it's not the same. Maybe NIL is playing a bigger part. Maybe the entitlement of these kids is playing a bigger part. But you're starting to see that in the way that they play.
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's tough too. I think all those factors also play into the side of like why, as college football fans, and it's too ingrained in our culture now to make a change, but I kind of want to be the voice of reason here of like, pump your brakes, right? I mean, everyone thought Notre Dame's season was over after that ugly loss to Northern Illinois early last year. They go on to make a playoff run. Like, pump your brakes, give these guys a chance to see what happens. But I think it is also fair from a pressure standpoint and expectation standpoint, as you said, that program has had such a high standard for so long that no matter what you inject into that, that's the standard. Like you walk through that building, whether you're making $5 million or $5, and I got to do my job. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that shakes out. And then on the flip side of that, I think the big thing too, and I kind of want to make just an open-ended statement on this about like Arch Manning. everyone was calling for Quinn Ewers' head. And I've been a big Quinn Ewers supporter for years. I got receipts on that. But like there's a difference in being the guy that is not only just the shiny object on the side, right? You got to be able to, and I'm probably saying something and I got a ton of respect for the Manning family. So probably saying something in a conversation that's already been had, but it's a great opportunity for a kid who came in with just astronomical expectations set by people that weren't him, got kicked in his teeth here week 1. And, you got to be able to ride the dark times too, right? You got to be able to stand there on the mast and take the bullets and take that fucker head on. And I think he'll be able to do that. But I thought that was a great microcosm of like where we are as a culture from a college football reactionary standpoint. Like we crowned this kid off of two starts last year. And you were throwing a guy who had done some really, really good things for a really long time for that university under the bus just for the next shiny object. And it's one of those lessons of like maybe the grass isn't always greener, right? Yeah. And we're kind of seeing that with the transfer portal. Maybe the grass isn't always greener, right? So I think that this is a great testament. And what I love about the Manning family as a whole is I think he's going to have the best advice and conversations and mental speak to be able to come out the other side and prove this point. But like, I thought that was a good thing for him, right? Maybe not a great thing for Texas, although I thought Texas played really well defensively too. Like it's still a really good football team. They're going to be in it at the end of the year. Same with Ohio State. But I think it's a really good microcosm of like, there's still an element of like growing men in this sport and learning from the good and the bad. And, Arch is, everyone's on a torch Arch streak now. And giving all, he didn't fucking ask for that shit. The people that are torching him are the ones that gave him all that shit. So like, check yourself. Let's see how the kid plays the rest of the year and see what happens. You know what I mean? So, but it was, I thought it was a good kickoff to the college football season. Still had some marquee matchups, still had some layups. But it was good, solid.
Yeah. And I think there's a stark contrast, in those two examples. When we talk about Arch Manning, we talk about like Alabama football. Yeah. Like with Arch Manning, when I watched that game, when I saw Arch playing, like his things are little things. His things are he's trying to sidearm and use too much arm talent to do routine throws and things that just the most simple of fundamentals are going to fix, which he's going to fix. You could tell the talent is there. You can see some of the throws that he makes, where the potential, where you see why we talk about him the way we talk about him, why it is that way. You can see those things. The things that are negatives, the misfires, they're simpler than we think. When you look at the Bama football, let's just focus on the defense. Like not running to the football, a lack of pursuit, a lack of effort and energy and want to. It's not like they went out there and played Alabama A&M. I know Florida State hasn't been a juggernaut for the past 5 years, but it's still Florida State, And that's where I think, that conversation is a lot more concerning to me than the Arch Manning flops in week 1 against the number 3 team in the nation conversation. Yeah. It just does. That's a stark contrast for me. Arch Manning's going to be all right, and Texas is going to be good. He's going to go in every single day. He's going to clean up the fundamentals. He's going to get that muscle memory, and that's going to come. Turning your hips just a little bit more instead of trying to just sidearm it because I know I got the arm strength and I know I got now it's a little bit behind when it never needed to be in the beginning, and now the receiver's not making a good enough catch. Those are little things. That Bama thing that we saw, that's culture.
Yeah. That's a good point, man. And I think with that, dude, college football's back, bro. So I'm excited to see how this all goes, see how this all shakes out. We got FIU this week, noon kick. Let's see if these boys can wake up. But, I'm kind of looking at this. If I'm gonna give any preview projections, it ain't gonna be much different than last week. I want to see continued cleanliness. I want to see a continued elite effort for attention to detail. And I want to see some depth. I want to see the depth get some reps, man. That's like you're gonna need it. It's a long season and it's getting longer. Who knows how long it's going to end up being here in the next 10 years, but these guys got to be ready for it. So what are your keys? And we'll wrap it up.
Again, another clean game. I'd like to see the offensive line just improve a bit in their communication and the combo blocks and stuff. I want to see more explosives in the run game. I think we left a few on the table that last game, and then just continued chemistry with these receivers and Drew. I mean, we know what this team can be. We know defensively that Knowles is probably going to keep it pretty vanilla. Hopefully we can continue to do that. But I just love the way this team is trending, and it's just another go get better game.